Maybe our next guest can help us. He is Ethan Watson, Young Voices contributor, working towards a master's degree in accounting from the University of Kansas, the Jayhawks. He wrote a piece in Real Clear Politics, Gen Z should not be fooled by Kamala's sudden seriousness. Ethan Watson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, I mean, give us some insight. What do we do about these, your college-age chicks, the girls that you go to school with? What do we do about them?
Well, I feel like, people my age in general, men or women, we got a little cynical during COVID, which is a whole other thing. I don't understand the psychological reasons why that happened, but I know we got cynical. And normally I see us applying that cynicism to all kinds of things in daily life. Right? I don't really drink the Kool-Aid. We're just there for a little utility benefit. We go to the guest speaker, but only because we want the free T-shirt, right? That's the thing I noticed from my generation. But we've turned that sniffer off for Kamala Harris. And I think it's because she's made politics palatable again. And what I mean when I say that is, over the last, 10 years, ever since people my age have been politically aware, on the one hand, you've got this political correctness, which is this ridiculous, puritanical regime where one wrong turn of phrase and they'll try to ruin your life. Then on the other hand, you've got Donald Trump, who's hyperbolic and brash, hilarious, but understandably off-putting, especially to women. But how I would approach this is I'm not out here to make a moral case for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. Frankly, Donald Trump's not someone I would want to date my daughter. But the case I make when I talk to my friends is that he will provide us that utility that we're looking for, at least better than Kamala will. And I don't feel like Kamala's policies are going to help anyone my age, man or woman, in this period in our life when we're trying to settle down, have a family, buy a home, all that good stuff.
You think that sort of sterile utilitarian argument is going to move people? I mean, what I see, and this is up and down the age demographic and across the gender divide, although it is much more significantly pronounced with women, particularly single women, is they want fake nice and beautiful lies. They want people being pretend nice, like Kamala Harris, telling them beautiful lies about what's happening and what is going to happen if particular policies, to the extent that they're even articulated, are pursued. That's it.
I find it hard to believe that people would be happy with pretend nice when all their prices are going up. At least I would hope that they don't believe that. When their prices are going up, they can't buy a home. And so I think what people care about when it comes right down to it is their pocketbooks, is their money, is their day-to-day life. People my age grumble a lot that no matter who's in power, nothing really changes. But we did see some changes over the last 4 years, and we got a worse economy and a less safe world, which is another point I want to bring up, is because when the world gets less safe, it's people my age that have to go fight those wars. It's people my age that are traveling abroad that are at risk. And so
yeah, but the rub is it's people your age. Again, particularly women. I know we're trying to avoid this, but I don't want to.
This woman wants to ask a question.
But it's people your age that are supporting Kamala by like a 60-40 clip. Well, more than that.
I'm calling on people my age to kind of turn back on that BS detector and see through this sort of insulting pandering with the Megan Thee Stallion and the Mark Hamill endorsements.
How embarrassing was that?
About what's going to do
Mark
better.
Hamill.
What's going to do better for us?
Does anybody your age even know who he is?
Do you know who Mark Hamill is?
I mean, there was a Star Wars movie that came out a few years ago. It was pretty bad, but
but he was in it.
Yeah, he was. He was terrible in it.
Right, but what are your Kamala Harris supporter friends? Why are they? What do they like about her? Do you ever are you inquisitive about that? Why are you voting for her? Why are you supporting her?
Well, a lot of times it's more of an anti-Trump vote, right? It's like, oh, well, how can you vote for like a rapist or he's literally racist or something like that? And it just shows me that, people my age have been lied to a lot. So that's why I don't even try to engage them on those grounds, even though I understand that they're not right on any of those issues. I don't try to engage on those grounds. I try to just take it back to the utility arguments. Like, look, again, I'm not going to stand here and tell you Donald Trump is like a great man, like he fit to, date my daughter, like I said earlier. But, when was your family family better off? Were they better off, 5 years ago? I feel like we're all old enough to remember at least a little bit of how we were doing. And like, they grumble. I take little openings when I get them, right? So like we were out the other night and everyone's like, man, this pizza used to be $2 a slice. Now it's $4 a slice. I'm like, yeah, shocking. How did that happen, you guys? Like what could have changed in the last 4 years? But I think people my age are really keen, attuned to prices, and that they're paying a lot more, and they'll only get more attuned to that as they enter the working world, and have to start paying for more of their own stuff.
But it's a brat summer, Ethan, and Taylor Swift is endorsed Kamala, and we're having fun.
I hope now that she's had to get serious on her policy because people are making fun of her, that people my age will sort of see her for the Joe Biden 2.0 that she is, because she really is Joe Biden doubled down. I mean, she literally is ripping her policies straight off of his campaign website, and more than that, what people my age I feel like want is a change from the status quo. A lot of times, they grumble about how nothing ever really changes, no matter who's in power, and Kamala Harris is the most establishment candidate we've ever had. And so on the one hand, that might be comforting to her, but to people my age. But on the flip side, she's really, really establishment. And if people my age are unhappy with the status quo, we're supposed to be the change agents. Then maybe we should take a look at the bull in the china shop that Donald Trump is, and not the candidate that was swapped in at the top of the ticket that literally no one has ever cast a primary vote for.
I don't know about these undergrads or recent grads. Again, just the male-female dynamics. Like what is the interaction on campus like? I mean, we've seen, maybe not so much at University of Kansas, but we've seen actually campuses that are very different one to the other. For example, what happened during the pro-Hamas encampments in places like Ole Miss or North Carolina versus what was happening at Ivy League schools or Northwestern, some other school, UCLA. So, I wonder, where you think, that utilitarian argument, the slice of a pizza, that can only take you so far because there's such an emotional quotient to this whole discussion, isn't there?
That's absolutely right. And frankly, when I'm talking politics, I would prefer that we were talking about sort of the philosophical and moral implications. But unfortunately, I don't think, my generation is there yet. We don't, people my age don't understand, the concept of natural rights versus duties and things like that. So I think that's why we have to engage them on the utilitarian grounds, because that's the only language that people my age really understand. As far as the dynamic on KU's campus goes, it's not a really too political campus. We had like a small pro-Hamas encampment that lasted like 2 days or something until a thunderstorm came along. But I think I actually just
for
saw
the
that
long
we're getting rid of.
as long as the weather's nice. Yes, right.
yeah, exactly. And then we're getting rid of. I just saw recently some of like the LGBT like sex and gender studies like centers, or they're combining them, or they're paring them down a little bit. So it's not the most politically fraught campus. It's not NYU or Columbia by any means. And honestly, it doesn't come up a lot among people my age around here. I think because people are afraid to talk about it. So that's kind of why I'm trying to do this and why I started doing this is I want people my age who think like I do to start speaking up a little bit, because it can be daunting, it can be intimidating. You can feel like you're the only person who believes what you do. I promise you, you're not. I get so many private messages from people that I never would have thought agree with me after I've started doing this, saying, we're with you, this is great, support this. And so just earnestly and honestly putting yourself out there and saying what you believe is how we're going to win this thing.
Ethan Watson, Young Voices contributor, working towards a master's degree in accounting at the University of Kansas. Ethan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and hope to have you back. And he joined us on our Turnkey